There are a lot of YouTube videos about what it's like to live in Hawaii, mostly from people who don't live here anymore. Some do, but most don't. So I thought I would share my opinion since I grew up here, I went away for a while, and then I eventually came back to Hawaii, and it doesn't look like I'm leaving anytime soon. So here are the ABCs for living in Hawaii. Adventurous. There are a lot of things a person can do outside. There are mountains to hike, oceans to swim, waves to surf, parachutes to parachute in, I guess. It's like this place was perfectly made to film GoPro videos. Unfortunately, I'm too busy working to pay the bills to be able to do any of those things. Beautiful. There are beaches, sunrises, sunsets, waterfalls, canyons, plants, birds, and people. Pick one, pick many. It's all beautiful. Crowded. While the image of Hawaii may be this tropical paradise with empty beaches, the reality is that it's crowded. I mean, this isn't Gilligan's Island where you're sharing the island with the skipper, a couple of millionaires, and a movie star. There are over 1 million people in the state, and a lot of Hawaii is uninhabitable. And get ready for traffic on the roads and crowds in the stores, and don't even get me started with shopping at Costco and Iwale. It's crowded. And with the popularity of social media, there aren't too many secret Hawaii spots anymore, at least ones I can talk about. Delicious. People in Hawaii love to eat because the food is ono. That means delicious. There are so many influences from Hawaiian to Japanese to Chinese to European, and it's really a reflection of the many peoples and cultures that we have here. You will definitely find something that you like. We have acai-bowls, lokomokos, poke, and my personal favorite, Zippy's pumpkin pie. I don't know why, it's just so good. Expensive. Yes, Hawaii is expensive. There, I said it. It's one of the most expensive places to live in the US, and a lot of that has to do with the limited land and the cost of housing. Being an island, Hawaii has to also import most of its goods, which adds to the price of everyday things. And yes, milk is that expensive. Family oriented. This is one of the things that keeps people here. Even though finances may be tight, it's hard to put a price on family. And in Hawaii, family is huge, not just with big families, but because family is celebrated a lot, as we can see through babies' first birthdays, high school graduations, and multi-generational housing. And I really don't know how people make it in Hawaii without family, and it makes me very thankful for my family here. But some do make it without family, but I don't think most people make it. Green. Hawaii is green all the time. There are no seasons except normal and rainy, and because of that, the trees don't lose their leaves unless they're dying. There was this tree I would walk past on the way to work, but it was quickly cut down. Please, state of Hawaii, if you could bring it back, I'd appreciate it. It was a very nice tree. Anyway, green is something that we locals can take for granted too. Try living in Nebraska or Kansas for a while, and you'll start to miss those green mountains. Homely. I grew up here, so Hawaii is my home. When I went away for school, I always enjoyed coming back because Hawaii was so familiar. Zip packs at Zippy's, all my favorite snacks at the cracked seed shop, shave ice whenever I wanted. And I think a lot of people get that familiar feeling too. I mean, things tend to change slowly in Hawaii, so if you go away for a while and then you come back, chances are you're gonna see a lot of familiar places and faces still here. But I suppose that's the same for almost any place as well. Isolated. Hawaii is the most isolated center of population in the world. It's 2,300 miles from California and 3,800 miles from Japan. And this is both good and bad. It's good because we get to maintain our culture without too many outside influences, but it's also bad because oftentimes good ideas seem to take a very long time to get here. I'm talking to you, Olive Garden. And don't get me started on the time it takes to get my Amazon packages. Whew, takes a long time. Jovial. I'm sure you heard of Aloha and the Aloha spirit, and I think jovial is a great word to describe someone who is filled with Aloha. It's someone who is giving and happy, not because of circumstances, but because they enjoy life. And people in Hawaii joke around a lot too. Just a heads up, a lot of the jokes are kind of racial and every group is fair game, so just be prepared. But I think you have to laugh if you're gonna live in Hawaii because it's so tough sometimes, and it's really good to be thankful for living here. Known. Hawaii is a small place, and it's a place where people know people. It's amazing who will know who, or whom will know whom. I never get that right. Just mention where you graduated from high school and people will start asking if you know so-and-so. Hey, where are you in grad? Oh, McKinley. Hey, my cousin went grad McKinley. You know John? No, there's like 10 Johns in my class. And there are people who seem to know everyone in Hawaii, which is crazy because there are over 1.4 million people here. Limited. Hate to say it, but there's only so much land in Hawaii and only so much a person can do with not a lot of options outside of what's already here. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great place for outdoor activities, but if that's not your thing or you grow bored, it's kind of hard to drive across the country for something new. I mean, you'll be driving with the fishes, and flights aren't that cheap anymore. There are also limited job opportunities in certain industries and limited housing options, so unless you got a lot of money, you're probably going to be renting or living away from most of the jobs. Until Hawaii expands its economy and starts to build housing units in the tens of thousands per year, there aren't going to be a lot of options. Modern. It's almost like there's two versions of Hawaii. There's the tropical paradise with the grass huts and the coconuts, and then there's the modern and urban Hawaii, particularly in Honolulu. And there are some very modern buildings here. Maybe not so much on the neighbor islands, but there is modernization in these small patches here and there. Just walk around Ala Moana Shopping Center or Ward Village, and you'll see these beautiful and expensive luxury condos that unfortunately I can't afford. Nautical. It's surprising that a somewhat large portion of the population in Hawaii doesn't know how to swim, considering we're an island, but ocean and water are a big part of living here. There's surfing and snorkeling and jumping off big rocks into large bodies of water and lots of other stuff, you know. There's also a lot of fishing communities and a lot of boats, so if you enjoy that, that's great. I haven't tried paddleboarding yet, but it's definitely something I want to try. Outgoing. Yes, it's very much possible to be an indoor person in Hawaii, trust me, I try, but there are a lot of opportunities to encourage people to get out. You know, shopping and eating out are two big forces, but it's also the social environment of the state that sort of calls people out. There's this strong sense of community, and that works on different levels or scales. It's not just Hawaii as a state, but also smaller subgroups like per island, cities, towns, and even family. Because of that, there are plenty of activities and invitations to go out. Precious. I only say precious because Hawaii seems fragile. It's hard to find a balance between life for locals and the entertainment industry and tourism. There are also limited natural resources like water and land, and when those things run low, I don't know what the state's gonna do. So living in Hawaii to me is very precious, and it's important to appreciate the lifestyle before it slowly changes. Quaint. In Waikiki and Honolulu, life may not be so quaint, but try visiting some of the neighbor islands. There are some very quaint little towns. I remember I took this trip to Kauai and I stopped in a small town to buy my favorite local snack, taro chips, and the town felt so like local and small, and I loved it. Now, would I move there? Probably not, but I enjoyed the quiet and simplicity of the place. And living on Oahu, it's sometimes hard to remember that all of Hawaii is not freeway and traffic and large crowds. Repetitive. I know I said that Hawaii is adventurous, and that's true for the first time, maybe the second time, but I also think that there are only so many things a person can do before the thrill of Hawaii goes away. Life in Hawaii can be very routine. For most locals, it's pretty simple. You get up early, you get ready for school or work, you drive in traffic, you work all day, you drive home in traffic, make dinner, and then relax before going to sleep. And weekends can be pretty repetitive as well. Hey, it's Saturday, what you like do? I don't know, we go beach. Hey, it's Saturday, what you like do? I don't know, we go beach. Hey, it's Saturday, what you like do? I don't know, we go beach. It helps to have hobbies that are repeatable without it getting too boring like golf, but the repetitive nature is also what gives Hawaii that charm and homely feel. Sociable. Get ready for the hugs and the kisses. Hawaii's culture is very sociable. That's not to say that people are expected to go out every night and party it up, although some people do, and I don't know how they do that or can afford to do that. But anyway, Hawaii is a very touchy culture. Lots of hugs with strangers, lots of kisses on cheeks of strangers. It's just the norm. Tight. What I mean by tight is that because it's expensive to live in Hawaii, people's time and budgets are often tight, and that's assuming they even have a budget. For most people, housing is the biggest expense, which means that people often have to work multiple jobs. Now, I'm fortunate that I don't have to, but I did before, and let me tell you, it's pretty tough. With part-time work schedules, it's very inconsistent, which means that money is also inconsistent. You know, I had days where I started at my first job for the first half of the day, and then went to my second job for the second half of the day, and then went back to my first job to close the store. And it's a tight way to live, you know, tight on money, tight schedule, which makes it really hard to do a lot of the fun things outside. Unequal. Now I caution to use the word unfair for a whole bunch of reasons, but there is definitely privilege for many in Hawaii. Whether a family has wealth and a home can be a huge advantage. Now I'm very thankful that my family had a house and that I could grow up in that environment. It really helped me a lot. I can say as an adult, now it helped me a lot. But not everyone has that. You know, the income gap is very wide in Hawaii with a lot of low income and poor families and also some very wealthy and well-off people. Here on Oahu, people can learn a lot about you from where you grew up and where you went to school. So if you grew up in Hawaii Kai, Kailua, or Mililani, must be rich. You went to private schools like Punahou, Iolani, or Midpack, must be rich. Now, of course, that's not always true, obviously, but there's definitely a gap, and I'm thinking in the future that gap's gonna get wider and wider. Vivacious. Hawaii can be a very spirited place to live. Waikiki has an active nightlife with clubs and bars, but it's not just the luau's and touristy things. People in Hawaii can get pretty excited for even the smallest things. Like, there's this Made in Hawaii show each year, and it draws so many people. Like, it's super crowded. And there are also a number of local parades, sports is big, and also high school graduation. High school graduation is one of the most spirited things in Hawaii, especially compared to the rest of the world. If you haven't seen it, it's a lot of family, hugs, and lays. Warm. This not only applies to the weather, which is usually in the upper 70s, but also the general spirit of Aloha. Generally speaking, people are pretty warm here. They'll be friendly and kind for the most part. Of course, put some rain and an accident or two on the freeway, and things get a little bit fiery, but assuming that you don't piss anyone off, people are warm and kind, and it's just how life is here. Xenolithic. Okay, what the heck is Xenolithic? Well, first of all, it's hard to find a word that starts with the letter X, so bear with me, but Xenolithic basically means a situation or action that is out of place or unexpected based upon common experiences and expectations. And I like how the root of this word is associated with rocks, since Hawaii is sometimes referred to as the rock. I relate this word to how visitors or new arrivals to Hawaii can sometimes stand out because life here is so different from any other place. Okay, first of all, it's called slippers, not flip-flops. I know I lived on the mainland, that's what it's called there, but here we call them slippers. Secondly, there are just so many things that are different and embedded in Hawaii that it's much better to learn these new customs than to try to change everyone else here. I'm not sure if some people come to Hawaii and think they can change the culture fast or at all, but it just doesn't happen. We still call it Long's Drugs instead of CVS, and that will never change. And in that sense, it's either acclimate to the culture or be forever frustrated. Yearlong. Hawaii has amazing weather, and because of that, things often feel year-long. In other words, non-seasonal. And it's one of the things that I do miss about other parts of the world. You know, it's nice to actually see the seasons change because it reminds us of the passage of time and transitions in life. In Hawaii, every day pretty much looks the same. Hey, what's the weather like today? The same as it's always been. Sunny with clouds and a chance of light showers. Winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Some people like it that way, others may not. But the best time to visit Hawaii is pretty much any time because it's all pretty much the same weather-wise. But of course, it depends on what you want to do. Zestful. To live in Hawaii and to live here for a long time, maybe for the rest of your life, I think it requires a certain amount of zest for life. You have to enjoy living here. Despite the high costs of housing and food and gas and basically everything else, the people who stay here are the ones who sort of find reasons to be here. And this may come in many different forms, whether it's the culture, the lifestyle, family, outdoor activities, whatever it may be. But still, it's a tough choice to make, and it's one that everyone has to make all the time. So those are the ABCs of living in Hawaii. Hopefully they were helpful. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and aloha.